The fourth episode of The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart digs into the inside stuff of a broken person. The program gives us a look into the head and the nature of an individual who overcomes childhood tragedy to become a grown-up person. These folks avoid making blunders in life by carefully considering all of their options. Broken people are more likely to think things over again after meeting someone who shows a little understanding for them. What happened in The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart episode 4? The main character of The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart goes missing from Thornfield at the beginning of the fourth episode. She left her granny a single flower and didn't say goodbye. June is concerned about what Alice may have learned after receiving the flower, since it is a sign of betrayal. Her situation is a risky spot since she had just come out of surgery. The moment Alice calls and explains why she left, she breathes a sigh of relief. Alice and Augie were now a couple, and they had big dreams for the future that included getting married and then backpacking throughout the globe. Those hopes, however, were dashed when Augie and his mother were kicked out of the country. Keep in mind that Season 4 picks up 14 years after Season 3. That makes Alice 23 years old right now. Since Augie left 6 years ago, Alice must have been 17 when they first talked about getting married. Alice fled Thornfield since she just learned that her grandma called the right people in charge and had Augie deported. Furthermore, she faked Alice's breakup with him by sending him a message via her restricted email account. June also refused to provide any of Augie's earlier correspondence with Alice. Alice received one of his letters after all this time. June was probably in the hospital and unable to stop it. Augie writes about their breakup and his future wedding in the letter. Alice is crushed by the realization of her grandmother's dishonesty and mad at the control she's had over her life. Getting the girl's boyfriend deported and showing her the notebook are not the best ways to put off a teenager from getting married. After loading up her pickup, Alice heads off towards Agnes Bluff. She went there since it was named after her mom. On her way to Agnes, Alice picks up a stray puppy and brings him to the local vet, Moss. Alice is first dismissive of his offer to take her somewhere, but when they cross paths again, she expresses regret and the two become fast friends. Although Alice has feelings for Moss and is thinking about dating him, she is first cautious since he is likely to be the first person for her in the 6 years since Augie left. Nonetheless, she gets over her worries and decides to spend the night with him. They begin spending time together, and Alice reports that she and Moss both enjoy their time together. On the other hand, she also meets Dylan, a ranger in a nearby national park. She first meets him while looking around, and then again at a social event. Alice senses his attraction to her, but she hasn't made up her mind yet. Alice is thrilled to go on an evening park tour with Moss after being invited by one of the other rangers. Unfortunately, Moss has to cancel at the last minute, so Alice will be traveling without him. Episode 4 doesn't depict any interaction between Alice and Dylan, although they are aware of one other's existence. Upon reaching the crater's peak during the excursion, we assume Alice has a feeling of belonging and is reminded of her mother. Agnes Bluff may have just been in her mind as a way station or a destination to avoid her grandma up to this point. We anticipate that after her tour is over, she will begin looking for a lasting place to live in town. Episode 3's cliffhanger confirmed our suspicion that June had requested John and Sally Morgan to watch Alice's brother Charlie. She has followed his health status throughout the years, and we believe she has also given money help for the family. After waiting for 14 years, Charlie's doctor has finally given him the all-clear to live a regular life. When June phones the Morgans to update them on Alice's location, Charlie is thrilled to tell this big news. The implication is that he knows about her but has never really talked to her. From the sound of his enthusiasm, it's clear he's not thinking of her just as the lady who dumped him. June, though, is firm on not talking to Charlie. Charlie is crushed by her coldness when she demands John. When Sally phones June in the hospital, Twig grabs the phone and tells them the latest on Charlie while also berating June for her cold-hearted actions. Since June has kept Charlie's survival a secret until now, Twig has only now learned about it. In her haste to get home, Twig discovers that Charlie had sent Alice several letters during his life. In reality, he and the Morgans were trying to keep in touch with Alice and June by mailing Charlie photos every so often. However, everything was hidden away in a cardboard box. Since Charlie is still alive and does not need a memorial, Twig becomes enraged and begins to cut down the tree she had planted for him. June explains that she did not want Alice to be around the Hart family guys because she was afraid Charlie might turn out to be just like Glenn. But Twig has no intention of buying this justification. She had only found solace in the knowledge that her children were together after they were stolen from her by the state's unfair systems. To Twig, June was wrong to force Alice to choose between her family and her friends. This is more proof that June went through a terrible experience. Unlike Agnes, she does not see her husband as a heroic thief, and she has a similar experience with Clint's father in that she believes violence is natural in guys. Episode 4 of The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart ends with June making a flower arrangement for Twig as a way of apologizing and letting Twig know how much she needs her in her life. But Twig will have none of it, and she breaks up the plan as a symbol that she no longer wants to be with June. None of us believe June regrets splitting up Alice and Charlie. She's sad just because Twig was harmed. Even if she was really sorry, her offense was too big to be made up for with flowers.